Hi, my name is Amy, and this is my memory box. The first item in my memory box is this luggage tag. It was given to me as a keepsake by one of the actors when I worked on the musical Lucky Stiff in college. I was a theater major, so I have lots of stories of the colorful people I met and the wonderful shows that I've worked on. I also have a photo strip of my friend Brittany and I on the first day that we moved to Palm Springs, California. It reminds me of adventures to Disneyland and cross-country road trips that we took together. I like it because it shows how much fun we have together as friends. This is a postcard that my brother designed. He's an artist and an illustrator, and we always knew that he would be an artist, even growing up. We have lots of stories of the things that he's drawn and the things he's drawn on, like his math homework and his pants. And I think that his whimsical nature is reflected in this postcard. The last item I have is one of my mom's favorite Hawaiian shirts. She likes to wear Hawaiian shirts year-round, in the summertime with shorts and in the wintertime with pants. She almost always wears them with hiking boots and athletic socks pulled up to here. She is a very unique person, and this article of clothing reminds me of the time that she decided to dye all of her clothes green on purpose. She didn't dye this piece of clothing green, but I think that's probably because she didn't own it at the time. She's a very energetic person. She's very smart and strong-willed. She's always been very interested in what makes somebody do what they do, what makes a machine tick, why something happens and how. She's less interested in the appearance or the clothing of a person than what's going on inside their mind or inside the machine. My auntie says that my mom, which everybody in the family calls Moi Moi Joe, because she's the youngest and smallest in her generation, and Moi Moi is the affectionate term for little sister in Cantonese. My auntie says that Moi Moi Joe was always ready to go out the door. Even at the age of 2, my mom was pounding on the door. My auntie said, Moi Moi Joe is always ready to go out the door and meet new people and learn new things and go to new places. When my mom grew up in the 1950s and 60s in Berkeley, California, she had to wear a dress to school every day, and she had very long hair that my grandmother loved and my mother hated. She hated it because she had to sit very still every day and have her hair brushed by my grandmother. And while she was sitting still and having her hair brushed, my uncle, my mom's brother, would be running around the yard, having a grand time. My mom was always jealous. She knew that he was doing something much more interesting than her. Also, she was very bad at sitting still, just as she is today. When my mom went to school, she was always sent with a small box of safety pins for the teacher, because my grandmother knew that my mom would rip her clothes at some point. My mom really didn't care if she had a few stains on her dress or tears that were pinned with safety pins. If she had learned something new along the way, discovered something interesting, that's what counted to her. Growing up in the city at a time when Black Panthers and protests, riots, and gangs were all an issue, the highlight of my mom's year was to go to Stay Away summer camp in the mountains. And every year my grandmother would go through the closet and find matching outfits for my mom. And she would put them together, and she would fold them just so, and she would say, now Moi Moi Joe, you make sure to wear these clothes together, because this pair of pants and this shirt, they match, and this blouse and this skirt match. So you make sure to wear them together because they match Moi Moi Joe. And my mom would smile and nod, and when my grandmother would turn her back, she would roll her eyes because she knew when she got to camp she would wear whatever she wanted, usually what was on the top of the suitcase. When my mom got to college, she had a similar problem. All of her roommates and her friends would say, Flo, you can't wear that together. You can't wear stripes and polka dots together. You can't wear green plaid with orange. It doesn't match, Florence. You can't wear them together. And my mom tried. She really did. But she was just much more interested in what she was learning in class. She thought that zoology was much more interesting than clothes. And music theory was far more fascinating than shoes. And after a while it started to get to her. After hearing, that doesn't match, Flo, that doesn't match, 100 million times, she knew she had to do something. So she went to the store and found the aisle with the fabric dye. She went down the aisle until she found the exact color she was looking for, olive green. And she took that olive green dye home and she poured it into a large metal dishpan. She put in just the right amount of water, and she rolled up her sleeves, and she got her clothes. and she put all of her clothes into the pan. All of them. She put her shirts and her socks and her underwear and her pants and her shorts, and she put them all in, and she stirred them up until they were a nice uniform shade of olive green. And when they dried, she put them on, and she went to go show her friends. And they were appalled. They said, "Flo, what did you do to your clothes?" And she said, "I dyed them. Now they're all the same color. They're green. Now they match. Isn't that great?" And her friend said, "Flo, that's not what we meant when we said all of your clothes should match. We meant that you should match stripes and patterns and solids and prints all together. Just because your clothes is the same color, that doesn't mean it matches." My mom just smiled and laughed. And they said, "People will think you never wash your clothes, Flo. Won't you get tired of wearing the same color every single day? It doesn't match, Flo." But my mom was happy because she knew that no matter what pair of pants or shirts or socks she pulled out in the morning, they would always match. And her friends really couldn't argue with that. Most importantly, she'd figured out a way for her to spend less time on her clothes and her appearance, and more time learning new things and going to new places. And that's the story of the time my mom dyed all of her clothes green on purpose.